3 weeks ago, we headed off to Bathurst for the final round of Season 2 of the iRacing Israel League in the Porsche GT4. Today we're back for Season 3 in a Porsche, but the GT3 Cup. So it's a very different beast for the drivers to handle this time round. We're here at Le Mans, which has just seen the 24 hours of Le Mans on iRacing last weekend. It finished earlier yesterday. But we're here for some GT3 Cup racing action on the iRacing Israel League. Welcome along. My name is Dane Baird, and joining me in the commentary box and controlling the cameras and the SDK Gaming overlay is Adam Barth. Adam, welcome along. We've been dropped right into the thick of things here. We've had a bit of connection issues before the race, and the race is about to start with a standing start.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, welcome everybody. A few server issues, but yeah, I think we have got in now, and you can see the grid on your screen. It's Alon Day on pole, Shalva in second, Amir Meshalem in third, Michael Sherling fourth, and John Chico in fifth. So that's the top 12 on your screen, and we have got a bumper-sized grid for this one day. We've got 27 cars, which I think is probably one of the most we've seen in the series, really, with the 3 seasons that, well, from the previous 2 seasons we've had anyway. So here come the lights. We're getting set to go.
Absolutely a huge grid compared to what we're used to. Alon Day on the right hand side of the screen on pole position. And we go green at Le Mans for 7 laps or 35 minutes of racing, whichever comes first. It's a bad start from Alon Day. Shalv up the inside, heavily defensive is Alon Day as they come towards turn number 1, the field of around 30 drivers. Let's see how they all handle turn number 1 in towards the left-hander and then the right. Looks like they're all single file for the first few cars. Alon Day holding on to the lead as they come through the Dunlop Bridge and in towards the S's now side by side further back. And we've got Alon Day still leading this race up through the S's now towards Tetra Rouge, one of the most amazing corners or complexes of corners in motorsport. Adam and I have much experience around here. We both did the 24 hours of Le Mans. Had some little bit of a battle near the end as well between the two of us. That was a lot of fun. We've seen the drivers start to spread out a little bit with a big gap forming between Alon Day and Shalva and the rest of the field. We've got a big gaggle of cars here, some running side by side down the Mulsanne for the first time.
Yeah, indeed. This is when the slipstreaming is going to start. This Porsche GT3 car isn't the best when it comes to picking up a tow, but at Le Mans, because the straights are so long, it just about works, and we can see this here, this huge gaggle of cars going into the first chicane. That's Michael Sherling looking up the inside. He had a fantastic end to last season, and he's already he's already got John Chico right behind him. It looks like they're going to be very close as they go on to the second portion of the Mulsanne. These cars are all very tightly bunched.
Yeah, and these cars produce quite a bit more downforce than we saw, and the aero that we're going to see these cars have, it's quite a bit more than the Porsche GT4 from last season, so the draft is going to be much more powerful. And here at Le Mans, draft is pretty much everything. Once you lose it, you're not really getting any of that time back, as they go 3 wide in towards the second chicane on the Mulsanne straight. Still 2 wide, and the 200 car just goes a little bit wide. He's going to get slowed down for that. Very unfortunate for that driver. They're still side by side, and there's contact. Not too sure who that was, but there's a car definitely around. Rancione has to make avoiding action. Is there going to be contact now? Oh, and narrowly avoiding that.
That was very close. Yeah, wasn't it? That was Decal Nar that was the car that was around on the exit, the second chicane. But fortunately, someone was able to miss him. We've had a change for the lead. That is Shalva getting past Alon Day, just as there was a whole lot of issues down at Mulsanne Corner. The golf car's off. That's Rancione. Oh no.
Yeah, lovely golf oil livery that we got so used to seeing in Season 2 on the Porsche GT4. He's got it back for the GT3 Cup, and he's had some serious issues down at the Mulsanne Corner. Very tricky corner, especially in these cars. You're braking and turning at the same time. And that is not what you want to see. Chico moves up into third as they go side by side into Indianapolis. Who's gonna break free? No one is. They're still side by side. And it looks like Chico just lost out on that one as we got a car well off into Indianapolis. Who's that?
Got a few off. That's Sardekel and Ahakim now, was it? No, I don't think it was. It was Sardekel and it might have been Ori Lahav. I'm not sure actually. It might not be him at all. But yeah, Indianapolis. That's a corner that we got to know well during the Le Mans 24 hours at the weekend. Our race very nearly ended early on there. Very tight section of corners as well with Arnage at the end. But fortunately for all those guys, it looks like they managed to get away without hitting anything. And at a track like Le Mans, aero is everything, and if you end up with a crumpled bonnet, you're not going to be able to go very quick at all, as we found out.
Both of our cars had some substantial damage by the end of that one, for sure. Both down on top speed, and some of these drivers are going to be suffering from that as well, unfortunately. Losing the rear wing, however, might not be such a bad thing. We saw in the Porsche when the drivers lost their rear wing, especially at places like Bathurst, they had some serious top speed advantage. And down the Mulsanne straight, that might be very helpful. Probably won't be through the Porsche curves. Shalva leading the race. He was about a second slower in practice and qualifying, so I wasn't really expecting him to do so well in the first lap of 7 at Le Mans. And Alon Day just dropping behind. Batcha up into 3rd, Chico in 4th. Batcha up 3 places from the start. Ame Meshalam down 3 places. He started up in 3rd. The league organizer, of course, under pressure from Zeltzer. Lots of new names in the series for Season 3, which is great to see. We got used to some of the names like this man, Gil Epstein in the number 44. And he's got a bit of damage to that car.
Yeah, one thing that is a feature of this series is that everybody is on a fixed setup, I believe. So everybody all the same in terms of that. They're all identical Porsche 911s as well. So it's all down to the talent out on the circuit. Gil Epstein with, you're right, some damage to the left-hand side, the left rear side of his car, and also on the right front, or the left front as we look at it. So that's not going to help him too much, and he is really struggling in terms of top-end speed as he heads onto the Mulsanne.
I can feel the pain that he's suffering right now. I think he's going really slowly. He might have a slowdown from Tetra Rouge, but I think that would explain how slowly he was just going there. But definitely going to have some top speed disadvantages for him, unfortunately. We saw a lot of them in the last series, as well as this man, Hikam now. He's on the back of Rancioni. And just up ahead of them is Ron Cohen, but something's happened to Cohen, because Rancioni's got past, because Cohen maybe messed up the first chicane, or he's got to slow down.
Not too sure on that. Well, what a start it's been for Hakim Noah, by the way, who we are looking at. He's gained 12 places since the start of the race. He's emulating what I was doing in the early stages of Le Mans. I got us from 11th up to 4th in that one before things went a bit south, but he looks like he might be about to get passed here by Cohen, who goes back round the outside after missing the first chicane. Is Cohen going to make the second one? No, it looks like he just about does. And meanwhile, there's a fight for the final spot on the podium on our hands here. This is between Mahdi Bakar and John Chico, it looks like.
Yeah, Chico just behind, and looks like Michael Sherling, who is a race winner from Season 2 in the GT4s. He looked like he was about to climb onto the back of this train. I think he's made a bit of a mockery of Mulsanne Corner, and he's dropped back quite a bit. But Bakar in the number 277 car, and then Chico just behind him. Both have made places up from where they started. They're heading towards Indianapolis. Are we going to see them run side by side once again? Yes, we are. Chico moves up into 3rd position. Are they going to run side by side through Indianapolis? Yes, they are. Here they come into the hard braking zone, and I think that Chico's had a bit more luck than he had the last time round. Batchel goes for the switchback. They're still almost side by side as they come into Arnage.
Yeah, this is brilliant racing between these two. Apologies if you do see a few cars blinking. There are still, the server issues haven't totally gone, but they're definitely better than what they were before we came on air, that's for sure. And yeah, these guys are serving up an absolute treat of a fight. It is a 7-lap race, all 35 minutes, whatever comes first. 4-minute 11 was the first lap done by Shalva, but of course this is the first lap done in anger, and it looks like there might be problems for Hakim Noah. We were just talking about how good of a start he had, and there's a car around. That is
Gil Epstein. Oh, and another one as well, Ben Yosef. Yehuda Ben Yosef synchronized spinning between those two drivers. They're going to pull out, and that's out of Arnage as they come through Indianapolis. Let's have a replay here. He come now in the 87th. In the 87 car, let's see what he does. Oh, he loses on the braking, hits that curb really hard. That's not going to do him any favors. Then we saw Gil Epstein spin as well, as I get a lovely view of the inside of the football stadium.
Oh, yeah, we're just seeing what happened to Josef. Yeah, he just spun it on the exit of the corner with the Hoonigan livery, and yeah, that explains what happened to both of those guys. Glad that you can see what I'm seeing, I think, now, Dane, as problems found in Mechalem at the final chicane.
And it looks like Chico as well. Chico drops from 3rd down into 7th at the Ford chicane. That's one of the most tricky complexes on the circuit. Super fast double chicane. And the second part is really slow. You've got to slow down during the first part of that chicane, which is always tricky. But there, Chico not doing so well there. Also, Michelin with some problems. We'll see if we can get a replay of that one.
Yeah, we're going to find out what's going to happen to Chico now. He's got 277. That's Madi Bakar just about to go by him up the inside into the first of the final 2 chicanes. Everything looks fine here. Gets through there. First part done. Second part fine. Oh wow! You don't often see that. Usually these cars are very stable. At least the GTE cars were. I never had that happen to me at all. What a J. Oh dear. Well, that was a botched J turn. I think. No kudos points here. This isn't Project Gotham Racing, but John Chico gets going again. Unfortunately for him, it looks like minimal damage on that white car with the very impressive tinted blue windows and the blue tyres and blue wing mirrors.
He does like a bit of blue, does Chico, and he's running side by side now with that looks like Michelin as they come in towards the first chicane on the outside straight. And Michelin's locked up his rear brakes straight into Chico. That's not what we want to see. He had absolutely no control over that. Chico almost hits Rancioni, who's up into 4th. Zeltser's up 10 places from where he started into 5th after that. But Michelin with some serious damage to his Porsche GT3.
Oh, what on earth happened there? These Michelin had already picked up some damage from when he hit Chico at the final chicane on the previous lap. But that time, those two just clattered into one another. Right, let's have a look at what happened then. Let's go on board with Amir Michelin for this. All the damage had already been done by that point. Let's have a look at it one more time.
Oh dear.
Let's go on board. I've got the roll bar here. Here we go. Down the brakes.
Yep. He locks it up. Locks up the rear. As you can see, he was turning right and the car went left. He had no control over that one. Very unfortunate. At high speeds in the bumpy entry to Mulsanne, to the first chicane on the Mulsanne straight, it's really easy to do. And he was definitely a passenger at that point. And Chico is the unfortunate innocent bystander there. But Bashar's also gone off. That looks like the exit of Mulsanne corner.
Yeah. Had to do probably one of the world's longest 3-point turns at that corner during the race.
Oh, and that's Chico as well. Loses the rear out of Mulsanne in the background. Into the wall he goes.
The sad thing for Chico is that with the way the tyre model is on iRacing, once you have a spin like that, the tyres just take an absolute eternity to cool themselves down. So every time you put the power down on a car that is well known for losing the rear at the best of times, yeah, he just loops it around at Mulsanne. It looks like there's a battle going on here between Madi and Alon Seltzer. There he is. I really need to update the cameras here. We'll do in a moment.
Rancioni. He's having a bit of a look as well as there's more contact. Seltzer just ran into the back of him, and Rancioni up into 4th.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I'll take that. And now he's within touching distance of the podium. Well, I say touching distance. He's got a 13-second buffer to try and close up to Michael Scherling, who, has he had an issue as well? He looked very slow there going through the first part of the Porsche curves.
Looked a bit sideways as well. Manages to hold on to that one. The walls in the Porsche curves are extremely close. And yeah, getting loose there is not what you want to see. Let's definitely see if we can get a replay of that.
Yeah, I'm going to see if there's a button somewhere where I can go back a couple of seconds, because nothing big has shown up on the event viewer in terms of stuff that has happened to him.
Well, this is a great view through the 4 chicanes, though.
It's for you. I need to get the right camera pack loaded. Unfortunately.
Oh, well, my screen we had a great view of through the Porsche curves. There's who's that? Zelsa going up the inside into the 4 chicanes. Very brave move for him. Rancioni is probably in shock after that one, but Rancioni's got a better exit out of those chicanes onto the start-finish straight to start lap number 4. And Alon Day is caught up to Shalva as well for the lead.
Yeah, just 0.6 of a second between those two. And there is Shalva. He's just heading onto the Mulsanne straight now. 0.6 of a second is the gap between he and Alon Day. Apologies, yes, if you are just joining us with the blinking. iRacing server issues are responsible for that as Shalva disappears. There is Alon Day, though. He is in second place. Now he's the one to have a vanishing act. They're taking it in turns as they go down the Mulsanne, basically. Alon Day, NASCAR Whelen Euro Series driver, and he's proved what he was capable of last season, didn't he? As he nearly loses the rear himself going into the first chicane.
Yeah, he definitely proved himself last season, winning his debut race back at Sonoma, and then 4 races after that. The next 4 races, he won 5 in a row. Then there was a little bit of a break. Then he won another one. 6 out of the 12 races went to Allende, our Season 2 champion in the GT4, as he makes a move for the lead in towards the second chicane on the Mulsanne straight. They're still side by side. Let's see who's going to win this battle. I think it's Allende.
Yeah, Dave through into the lead. Let's see if he can keep it there, though. We are past the halfway point in this race then. On lap 4 now of 7. And this race is flying by. These guys are doing not too shabby lap times either. 4:05 last time round for Allende. Shalva 4:06 I should say, 0.4. And Allende returns to the race lead as the fight for 4th and 5th is definitely heating up. This is Maddie Batcher, then it's Alon Zeltzer.
Oh, big contact! And that's not where Manny Bacco wants to be in the number 277 car. He's going to have a right old time trying to get that one turned around. Bit into the gravel as well. I think he just outbroke himself and straight into the side of Rancioni there.
One thing I did find when we were in the car for the 24 hours was that the gravel did literally nothing to slow you down.
Oh no.
If anything, it just exasperated things as Amir Meshalem tries to get back by John Chico here. These two have already had a previous in the race. These two collided at the forward chicane and at the first chicane, but no such contact this time as Amir goes through into P9 and demotes John Chico with that front end damage back down to 10th.
Another thing to note for people returning from Season 2, returning for Season 3 watching the series, thanks for joining us again. And we've got a new point system. We followed the FIA point system of 25, 18, 15 and so on for the top 10 drivers getting points. We've now got the top 37 drivers, if my mind recalls correctly. And there's a lot more drivers getting points in this one. I will go and double check that. But we do have a new point system with a few more drivers earning points. So top 10 isn't so important anymore. It is now, let's have a look. It's now the top 34 drivers that will get points. So pretty much everyone. But we do have 35 drivers signed up so far, which is good to see. As Shalva looks like he's going to close the gap to Allende to just 0.4 of a second as they come down that straight.
Here come the leaders then into the forward chicane. And this was something that we were looking forward to seeing last season. Of course, towards the back end of the previous campaign, we had Allende, Shalva and Doyen Tabaknik fighting it out for the lead. We did see it on a few occasions, but most of the time it usually ended in tears, usually after 1 or 2 laps. And we did get quite used to seeing Allende starting on the pole, losing it, and then coming back through the field. But he'll be liking what he sees here. He's right at the front from the get-go. And as we start the 5th lap of 7, he is currently keeping Shalva at bay with a 0.4 of a second lead as he goes up towards Tetra Rouge.
This is going to be a really important corner for him. Need to get a good exit here. Otherwise, definitely don't try and get a slowdown as well. They're so easy to get there. If you cut too much on the inside or run a bit too wide on the outside. But Shalva's got all the draft in the world now as they come down the long, but not as long as it used to be, Mulsanne straight. We can see in the background of that shot a lapped driver heading through the chicane. So it looks like someone further back down the field is just ahead of these guys. Shalva, is he going to be close enough to make a move into the first chicane, or will he have to wait? I think he's just too far back this time.
Yeah, very close indeed. And I remember when I was doing one of the night stints here, it was almost like you were driving onto a runway or something, because just pictured the scene, a totally pitch black Le Mans with just these green Marshall posts just lighting up your way down the Mulsanne. It was almost as if you're trying to taxi off into the atmosphere. I think a few cars might have done during the race. I did see a few big crashes on the Mulsanne. There was the 007 car. I don't know if you ever encountered him during the race, Dane, but yeah, he had a big one down the Mulsanne. Anyway, Allende continues to lead, despite what the live timing was telling you there. It's just because of the server issues that we've got. I think they might be getting worse, Dane, as the race is going along here. But we haven't got too long to go, just 2.5 laps.
Hopefully the server can last that long. We've got drivers blinking all over the place. Apologies for that one. As we've said before, server definitely not handling this circuit very well. We've had issues on a couple of other servers today as well. So something not going right at iRacing today, and that's Zelsa going around the outside into the second chicane. And who's that? That's Ori Lahav taking a very straight line approach to the second chicane. He's going to get a huge slowdown for that. I was just worried he was going to come back and take out these two having a battle. They're still side by side, Orange Sade and Zelsa.
Yeah, you and me came close to hitting one another there at the back end of the race yesterday, but just like us two, they were able to get through there without hitting one another. There is Zelsa on the outside. He'll be hoping to end his first race meeting of the season in good fashion with a top 5, but at the moment Orange Sade's gone wide, and that might allow Zelsa through. He is through as well, so Alan Zelsa bided his time, sat back, and when a mistake came from Orange Sade, he was there to pounce, and he's up into 5th place.
Nice calm driving for him. You mentioned just a few moments ago Dorian Tabachnik, who was battling for the win on most of the races that we saw him in. He's decided not to join us for this season. He wants to focus more on GT4 stuff, but everyone at the iRacing Israel League, to Dorian, if you're watching, we do miss you and we're hoping that you'll come back in the not too distant future. Shalva got very close to Alon Day then as they came in towards the Porsche curves. Lost a little bit of time through there, obviously having the dirty air of Alon Day just in front of him. They're going to have 2 laps left of the race as they come through the forward chicanes for the 5th time. In just a few moments we will get the white flag before the white flag.
Yeah, the penultimate lap. Yeah, they'll be getting the white flag ready, I think. It is pretty easy to pick up slowdowns around here, especially that final sector. If you go wide on the exit of the Porsche curves, that fast left-hander that we saw them going through a few moments ago, if you put all 4 wheels over the curb, then that is a slowdown penalty. Got to be a bit cautious as well with the curbs at the forward chicane, the final chicane, and this one as well. I remember really, it was such a pain because we were very slow in a straight line, more tails from our Le Mans. So the only way we could make up time was through this part of the circuit, and then obviously I'd then go and pick up a slowdown through this part of the circuit, which would just ruin things entirely. But here is Alon Day. He's coming up to lap somebody. This will probably help him a bit. It is car 50. That's Reem Gross that is at the back. Oof! Wow.
Ooh. That was a bit of a Code Brown moment there.
Oh, there's a car spun as well, just a bit further up the road. Is that Nashashibi? It is. Yeah, down at the first chicane. So he's going to get going though before these guys arrive on the scene.
Shalva looks like he's just too far away once more to make a move into the first chicane, but he's a lot closer now. If he can get a good exit, he almost taps Alon Day in the rear. But if he can stay close enough, using all of the available tarmac on the outside of that corner, Alon Day moving to the far right hand side, trying to break the draft. I'm not sure if it's the same as in GTE cars, but I think the middle of the circuit is actually faster, because some people might not know, the middle of the road on the Mulsanne straight has a bit of a crest for drainage, so all the water will run off onto the grass banks on either side. But that crest, if you run over it, right down the middle over the dotted line in the middle of the circuit, it actually allows your ride height of your car to be a bit lower than it otherwise would be, and that can give you a little bit of extra speed. And that's some little tricks that you wouldn't otherwise know. I was taught that one by Jamie Fluke. But here's Shalva making a move. It looks like he might make a move into Mulsanne corner. I think he's just pulled out of this one. I think it was close enough to maybe make a dive, but he's decided to hold it back. I think he's going to wait till the last lap to try and make any sort of move, because if you give him an extra lap, I think Alon Day will just take you back down the Mulsanne straight. So, a bit of smart driving from Shalva, so you've come to see quite often from him. And he looks like he might be able to challenge Alon for the win, which would be Shalva's first win, I think.
He's come close, hasn't he? In last season, that's for sure. Through Indianapolis we go. Arnage now the right-hander. We really have got to send it if you want to get a move done here. Usually it's as a result of a mistake from the car in front. But Alon Day getting through there with no such difficulty. They're coming up to Rashid Nashashibi now. Last time around, Rashid was doing a 4-minute 25, so it was about 10 to 15 seconds slower than what Alon Day was doing. And obviously, Dane, when we get to the more normal racing circuits in 2 weeks' time, I don't think the gaps between the guys at the front and the back will be just as big.
Yeah, and quite a few of these drivers would have struggled maybe learning Le Mans. It's a very long circuit. We don't have the most experienced group of drivers here. We've got some of the more experienced drivers up at the front, but most of the drivers in the series are fairly new to sim racing. They haven't done too much of it, and it's great to see how they've progressed in the last season and into this season. They're able to drive these cars, which I, for one, find very difficult to drive. So for them to be able to drive it, it's good on them. And they do have a fixed setup made by Haggai Farhan of Simrace Israel. As Nashashibi gets right out of the way, they get the white flag for lap 7 of this first round of season 3 of the iRacing Israel League. But like I was saying, Haggai Farhan, he normally is one of the guys to watch at the front of the field, but he's not joining us this week. Hopefully he'll be joining us in 2 weeks' time at Charlotte Roval Long, which is the site for round number 2. Shalva's just dropped back just a little bit. He's going to definitely need to get a move on here. Coming through the S's for the final time up the hill over the crest towards Tetra Rouge. And I figured out during Le Mans 24 Hours with our top speed disadvantage, I could cut this as much as I wanted. And the slowdown would be gone by the time I ended the Mulsanne straight.
That's exactly what we did as well. Yeah, a few tricks of the trade there for any people that want to do the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the future. Amir Meshalem and Cohen still going at it. There you go, there's Amir Meshalem's very battered front end after the contact down at the first chicane in the early stages of the race. He's currently in 10th position. Hakim Nauer is there. He has gained 13 places and is currently the biggest mover in the field. Other positions that could be potentially up for grabs late on is here between Michael Simon, there he is, the all pink car back again. It was pink in the GT4s, now it's pink again in the GT3s. And he is trying to keep Maciej Penchevsky at bay, and it's very close for the race lead.
Chalva's almost overtaking. They're side by side into the second chicane. Is there going to be contact between them? I don't think there was. Chalva manages to make the move stick onto the second chicane of the Mulsanne straight. Great move from Chalva. Alon Day really did squeeze into the inside line, but Chalva managed to make it stick there. They're coming towards Mulsanne corner. He's going to come all the way down to the inside now, giving Alon Day no space at all, trying to break the draft and not give Alon Day any look at the inside line. Is Alon going to make a move? I don't think he is. Into Mulsanne corner. I think the only real overtaking opportunity now is down this pretty much the longest straight on the course now that the Mulsanne straight has got chicanes in towards Indianapolis. This is going to be an amazing finish to the race, I'm sure. Chalva completely cutting that curve there as if it didn't exist, trying to block Alon Day with all his might. He's going to take the outside line in towards the first part of Indianapolis so we can get a good run in the second part. Side by side for the race lead. Alon Day moves all the way down to the outside and he's been turned by Chalva. And Chalva's going to wait for him. Good sportsmanship we're seeing here, and it looks like Chalva's now too far away to be able to take this, but Alon Day side by side with Chalva and then went all the way to the left hand side of the circuit to block Chalva, and Chalva, I don't think he was expecting that and just ran into the back of him and turned him around, but looks like Alon Day might have to win here.
Well, yeah, he was locking on the back of his car, wasn't he, for quite a while there, was Chalva. I was just amazed at the sheer amount of straight line speed that Alon Day was able to get there down the second part of the Mulsanne, but he was able to get it, and now he's got a handy 1.5 second buffer over Chalva for the final part of the lap. So long as he doesn't make any mistake, he doesn't run into that wall there. We got very close to doing that during the Le Mans 24 Hours, and now he's just got to get through the forward chicane without picking up any slowdown penalties, and then he will become the first winner of Season 3 of the iRacing Israel League, and it's been a fantastic battle between these two. Hopefully we get to see more of the same throughout the course of the campaign, and we could have an absolute classic on our hands here as Alon Day comes into the final chicane now, Dane.
Absolutely, the forward chicane, beautiful complex of corners. He just needs to navigate this one with ease. The finish line is very, very close here at Le Mans, and Alon Day will win the first round of Season 3 of the iRacing Israel League. Shalva will finish in second. The flash of the headlights in the driver of the 94 Porsche GT3 car. A lap driver finishing in behind. Here is Michael Sherlin. Huge gap between himself and Shalva. He's going to finish on the final podium position for round number 1. Michael Sherling won a race last season, I believe, at Donington Park. There's a big incident between Chico and Malka, or Pinchevsky that is, and almost takes Malka out. Malka does some amazing evasive driving as he comes out of Arnage. Did an amazing job to avoid all of that carnage in front of him between Chico and Pinchevsky making contact on the exit of Arnage. Rancioni finishes in 4th. I think that's his highest finish ever in the iRacing Israel League. Let's see on board of Malka's car. He goes to the right and then, oh, amazing stuff to see.
Oh, that was brilliant from Dor Malka. Just about avoids everything. And yeah, he's going to come home in 17th place. 10 places gained, so a solid opening round of the season for him. And he gains 2 places there in one corner, thanks to the contact made there between Pinchevsky and John Chico.
And someone else is off. They look like Decal Nar ahead of Marco, who's probably got a slowdown for that. He went all sorts of wide through the forward chicanes, and it'll be interesting to see if he did get a slowdown. I think he'll just about be alright with that one. Here's Pinchevsky then, after that last lap incident. There's John Chico in the 28 car. He was going to finish in 20th. Then we've got Barak Monteriano in the number 55 car, another one of our new drivers for this season. Toma Ventura, we saw him last season in the last few races. He's going to finish in 22nd. Huda Ben Yosef in at 23rd, and then it's a bit of a gap to Ido Isaac in the number 13 car with an absolutely destroyed Red Bull liveried car, going very slowly indeed. And he's going to finish in 24th, and then Gil Epstein is going to finish in 25th, and he's just entering the Porsche curves. Something tells me he's had a pit stop.
Yeah, didn't we see him have issues early on? Looks like he came in for a potential fast repair. Not too sure now, actually. I think he did, actually. Yeah, we did see his car quite slow early on. So Gil Epstein back out on the circuit, and he will be the last car to cross the line. Nashashibi and Rien Gross were both already lapped, so by the time the checker flag came out, they didn't have to do the extra lap, as Gil Epstein now comes through the final chicane. You can take quite a lot of the curbs in the GTE cars. Not too sure about the Porsche, but here comes Gil Epstein over the line, and he finishes in 25th place, and does a big lock up there at the end.
Well, that was an amazing race. I mean, despite all the server issues that we've had, drivers still managed to put on an absolute cracker for us. And the action at the end of that race was unbelievable, side by side through Indianapolis for Alon Day and Shalva. And Alon Day will win then the first round of Season 3 of the iRacing Israel League in the Porsche GT3 Cups. And we've got Shalva in second. Michael Sherling will take third, the first podium of the season. Rancioni, taking his highest ever finish in the iRacing Israel League, finishes in 4th. Oren Sade will finish in 5th. The first of our new drivers, Alon Zeltzer, will finish in 6th. Madi Bakar will finish in 7th. Ahikam Nawa in 8th. Ron Cohen in 9th. Amir Meshlam, the organizer, in 10th. After that really hard collision between himself and I believe that was... Oh, wow, I've forgotten that already.
It was Chico, wasn't it?
It was Chico.
Yeah.
There you go. Ori Lahav will take 11th position. Sardeckel in 12th. Peter Green in 13th. We used to see him quite a lot higher up the order than that. Hopefully he'll be back on form for the next round. Eric Alster in 14th, Michael Simon in 15th, Deckel Nar in 16th, Dor Malka will finish in 17th. We've got Leon Portman in 18th, Moshi Pinchevsky in 19th, John Chico in 20th. We've got Monturiano in 21st, Toma Ventura in 22nd, Yehuda Ben Yosef in 23rd, Ido Isaac will take 24th, Gil Epstein, the last of the drivers to finish on the lead lap, in 25th. Then we've got Nashashibi in 26th, Debush in 27th, and Yevgeny Patent did not finish the race. Unfortunately, the 28 drivers, that's one of the biggest grids we've seen in the iRacing Israel League. Hopefully, we'll have a couple more drivers join us for the next round, which will be in 2 weeks at the Charlotte Roval Long, which is a very interesting layout indeed. And then the series will head to Silverstone 2 weeks after, and Road Atlanta, Brands Hatch GP, and Spa. So that's a very, very interesting calendar. I'm looking forward to those races. And Adam, I think we're going to have some interviews now. I think there's only one person we can start off with, and that would be Alon Day. So let's move him into some different channel. Let's get him into the commentary box then. Alon Day, last season's champion and now the first race winner of season 3. Congratulations. Just talk us through the end of that race. That was really intense stuff.
Yeah, just the end. I think the whole race was pretty intense since I got the cut-off track penalty and I had to slow down for like, I don't know, 4 seconds or 3 seconds. Yeah, it was stressful. Shalva's performance really improved in the off season in week 13, I guess. Yeah, it was pretty tough. I knew that Shalva gonna throw something surprise in the last lap because he hadn't really tried to pass me before that, so I knew it will come in the last lap. I knew it will come, and he actually passed me in such an unexpected place. Um, and yeah, after that, I got him back, and Robin is racing. We touched a bit. We both went wide, um, and yeah, it was a good race overall.
It was really intense stuff when you went side by side into Indianapolis. That was great racing to see. Thanks for showing us a good race. In 2 weeks' time, we've got races every 2 weeks for season 3 rather than every week. That's going to give everyone a little bit more practice. Obviously, fix the setup. That's done by Hagai, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully, he'll be able to join us in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, we head to Charlotte Roval Long. Do you have much experience driving around that circuit?
No, actually not at all. Beside iRacing, um, yeah, it's gonna be fun. The setup is made by me. This is the reason why I actually am winning. But I'm preparing the fixed setup for everybody, challenging everyone because we try to be as smooth as possible for the newcomers and new drivers. And I think it's also pretty impressive to see how many new drivers join in for the new season. I hope it will grow in the future even more.
Yeah, absolutely. 30 drivers registered already. And that's a huge grid of 28 drivers today. That's the biggest grid we've seen in the series so far. Hopefully that will continue to grow. We haven't seen the likes of Hagai in this race. He's not going to show up tonight, but he might help, he might join for the rest of the season. Hopefully he does, and he can challenge you and Shalv. We can have a 3-way battle for the lead in some of the next races. Well, Alon, congratulations on winning the first round of the season. Good luck for the next one. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys. Thank you for communicating.
All right then. Thank you very much, Alon, our race winner. Adam, I think you've got Shalva.
Yeah, let's speak to the man who finished second place today. Let's get him in for a quick word. And Shalva, welcome to the interview. Welcome to the commentary box, I should say.
Hey guys, nice to hear from you again.
Oh yeah, it's great to be back for a new season, and it looks like you and Alon Day are picking up from where you left off. That was a fantastic battle at the front.
Yeah, definitely. I had a lot of fun. Um, Alon had a cut off track at the beginning. He lost a couple of seconds, but he caught quickly back up, got into the slipstream, and and then I pretty much gave him the position back. I didn't try to defend too much. I realized, okay, he's quicker. He's got a couple of tenths on me each lap, so I'm just gonna sit in his slipstream and just wait to hit him in the last lap. And I've managed to pass them, but in the next straight, he managed to pass me right back. And then we touched. I bumped him a bit, so you gotta give him the position back. I just couldn't live with myself, like bumping and running. So congratulations still on.
What was it like racing in the Porsche 911 for the first time in this series? Obviously, you're in the GT4s last season. Was there much new stuff? Was there much new stuff to learn?
Definitely, no electronic control at all, like no ABS, no traction control, nothing. So you really have to be smooth with this car, and it's really difficult, but also very rewarding. Like you really feel the car, you really feel the rotation. It feels connected, and it's a whole lot of fun. And it's really fun to battle. It's much more challenging to stay close to somebody and follow him under the brakes, especially. But it's really, really fun.
And I guess a track like Le Mans is probably the perfect test to see if you've managed to master all those things in this car.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm not sure if for the new guys it's really the best track to start on, because you really have to put a lot of time in practice to really feel the car, because obviously the lap time is above 4 minutes. So you really have to put a lot of time in to really know the car and know the corners. So hopefully in the next race, the group will bunch up a bit, and uh, some new really fast drivers actually joined to our league, um, and hopefully next race they will able to uh, challenge for the podium as well.
Very well done today on the second place. It was a fantastic battle to watch at the front, and hopefully we'll see more of the same at Charlotte in 2 weeks.
For sure. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Good to hear from Shalva there, Dane, and we've also got the guy who finished third on the podium, quite some way away, but it was a good drive nonetheless to get there. It is Michael Shirley.
Yeah, let's get him in here for an interview. Third place in the first round of Season 3. Michael Scherling, congratulations on a podium, and talk us through that race. That was a pretty hectic one throughout.
Hey guys. Yeah, that wasn't a very clean race, unfortunately. Was very difficult first lap. I had some incident with Amir before the exit to the first straight, and then another time I tried to defend. I braked too late, so the start was terrible. But then it became a little bit okay. I got some places back until the incident eventually with Madi. I'm not sure who's to blame here, but yeah, unfortunate that it happened. Besides this, it was like a very boring race after. I was just watching Alon and Shalva. I saw that Shalva waited to the end, I guess, to try and attack. Yeah.
Yeah, he was waiting right until the end. I guess you had a pretty good view of that down the Mulsanne straight in your car. But yeah, Le Mans, it's one of the longer circuits, and you had about an 18 to 20 second gap in front of you, and a similar long gap behind as well. So, like you said, maybe a little bit of a boring one for you in the last few laps. And there's a very long lap as well with long straights. So if you don't have cars around you, Adam and I both know this from the 24 hours of Le Mans on the weekend, it is probably not one of the most interesting circuits to drive. But you did a great job to gain a position and finish third. Now in 2 weeks' time, we're heading on to the Charlotte Roval. Have you had much racing experience there before?
No, but we have 2 weeks, and I guess the most difficult thing was to learn the car, and I'm almost there. Like, I need to get used to it a little bit more. Start practicing today, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. You have 2 weeks until the next round, which is a bit longer than the 1 week that we had in the last season. So it'll give you a bit of extra time to try and get those laps in. Charlotte Roval is a great course. I love it. The long configuration is a bit of a tricky one to get right in the infield, but it should give us some good racing. So I'm really looking forward to that one, as I'm sure you are. Thank you for joining us in the commentary box, Michael. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Before we let you go, do you want to give a shout out to anyone?
Yeah, of course, as always to Amir for all this hard work we did. And for you guys, I'm going to watch it now, so I'm super excited to watch it, like always. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Michael Sherling, 3rd place in the first round of the iRacing Israel League Season 3. Thanks for joining us. All right then, Adam, do we have time for maybe a couple more interviews?
We
I
do,
think we've
yeah.
got
Yeah.
a couple more drivers still there.
Let's move on to just having a look at the finishing order. Let's move on to Rancioni, who gained 6 places during this one. You can also see on this replay at the start, by the way, just how good the server was at this point. It did tend to get a bit worse as the evening went on. But let's get Rancioni in then for a quick word. Oh, Ran, welcome to the commentary box.
Hi guys, thank you.
Great to have you with us. The very well coloured Gulf liveried Porsche was flying through the field today. You managed to gain 6 spots.
Yeah, pretty surprised because I didn't had enough time to put enough practice during these 2 weeks. I think just about 10 laps or so. So I'm pretty surprised and pretty stoked to get I think the best overall position in all of this iRacing series, Israel iRacing series overall.
And there was a brilliant moment around about halfway around the lap where 2 cars went off and you were able to go straight up the inside to get both places. That must have been a good moment for you. I think was that the move to get 4th place towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. We went three wide, and I just held my fingers so that no one will move out of the lane and the spot, and that everybody will brake in time, and nobody will have a lockup, and that everything will go clean. And sure enough, someone to my left, I saw him brake a bit too late, and we touched, and he went off wide, and I managed to get those 2 positions.
How was it learning the new Porsche? I did see you off at the Mulsanne at the start of the race, but it looked like you were getting better and better as the race went along.
Yeah, the start was terrible. I don't know what happened. I couldn't launch the car, and I just kept spinning the rear tires, and everybody went by. But then a couple of guys crashed in front, and I managed to get into the slipstream and be smooth. And any mistake in this track is just it can cause a lot of time. And I love the car. I mean, I know there was a lot of changes to the Cayman, and now it's more drivable. But it's very interesting to learn this car with no ABS and no traction control, like everybody said, and it's very rewarding to drive it. When you drive it right, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, you brought it up there. We've switched from a rolling start to a standing start this season, and I guess with lack of traction control as well. Are these cars quite difficult to get off the line?
Yeah. Once the rear tires light up, that's it. I mean, you have to let off the throttle and get back on it really smooth, because if you light them up again, you just lose all your positions at the start.
Also, finally, then, with with today's result, a 4th place, 6 positions gained, and you saying that you're getting to grips with this Porsche really well, do you reckon this could be a pretty good season for yourself?
I didn't think I would do well in this race, but apparently I did. So I think it comes down to being consistent, staying out of trouble, and being smooth. I hope to get a lot more laps done and a lot more practice to the next races, and I'm getting to grips with the car. So hopefully, finger crossed, it's gonna be good races next couple of weeks.
Well done on the 4th place today. Yeah, it was a great overtake midway through the race to get up into 4th, and we're just seeing you dodging some more cars as the race went on some of the early replays. So yeah, well done today, Ran, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys.
Good to hear from Rancioni there, and I think we've got one more interview then, Dane. That must mean it's Oren Sade, who finished in just behind him in 5th place.
Yeah, let's get him in for the final interview. Oren, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Great stuff. Well, welcome to the commentary box for an interview. Maybe not the best race for yourself in the first round of season 3. Talk us through it.
Well, I managed to get a good position on the start, but I pretty much destroyed on the first lap and went down until I think the 20 place, something like that. So I just try to manage a solid laps and was able to finish fifth. So that was the bright side for me, and I'm feeling good for that result to be able to come for 20 to the fifth place.
Yeah, it was a good job from yourself to avoid some of the carnage that was happening throughout that race. Many drivers off into the walls and into the runoff, and it was a very proved to be a difficult combo for many of the drivers. The new Porsche GT3 Cup that we've been running in the season 3 compared to the old GT4 car, which doesn't have any electronic assistant at all. So it's a big step up from last season, definitely.
Yeah, it's more challenging, and the Le Mans circuit is a long one, and I'm not sure all of the drivers are familiar with that. But I really enjoying this car. It's challenging. I'm more of an open wheeler kind of guy, so it's more like that in the speed and a little bit of downforce. So it's a great car for me. I really enjoyed it.
And it shows with your result, 5th place at the end. That puts you in good standing for the rest of the season. In 2 weeks' time, you've got 2 weeks to learn the track this season rather than 1 week from last season. But Charlotte Roval, do you have much experience driving around that one?
No, no whatsoever. But this is the beauty of this league. I got to experience new tracks, new challenges. So it's great fun.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing you in that one in 2 weeks' time. And thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box for an interview. I think that's
Thank you,
all we
guys.
have time for. But before you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Just to say congratulations for Amir to another great season to start. And I want to wish all the best and health to Hagai and his father, and that will be coming back hopefully for the next race. We're all looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us and good luck for 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much, guys.
Well, that was Oren Zade, fifth place in the end of that one after 7 laps of Le Mans. That was a very interesting race, Adam.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Yeah, to get the season up and running, you could really have picked a more difficult track. And yeah, as the coverage comes to an end, once again, if you have joined us, yeah, iRacing servers haven't been our friend tonight. Hence why you have seen a few cars blinking in and out. But yeah, good enjoyable race to start the campaign off. And yeah, we're not going to see too many more difficult circuits than that. In fact, if you add on the back end of last season, we went to Bathurst, we were at Interlagos as well. They have really been throwing the difficult circuits at these drivers, and yeah, today at Le Mans was no exception, and everybody managed to get through it for the most part in decent fashion.
Yeah, and with 2 weeks' time, Charlotte Roval long. The normal Roval isn't too difficult, but when you add down that little bit longer section, it's a small little add-on in the infield, and it's blind, the entire thing. There are no real braking markers to think of. All the apexes are blind, it's up over crests. It's a very difficult part of that circuit as well. So from one difficult circuit to the next in 2 weeks' time, Alon Day has the best seat in the house for that one. He's going to be starting that one from first in the standings, which is he's used to being there, of course, our season 2 champion. But I think that's all we have time for season 3, race 1 in the iRacing Israel League. Thank you for joining us, And from everyone here at Apex Racing TV, myself, Dane Baird, and Adam Barth alongside me, we thank you for watching and wish you a good night and happy racing.